Hi everyone, and welcome back to Surviving the Love Bomb. My name is Emma Carrington, and if you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. As I said, my name is Emma. I'm trained as a community services worker, and I'm also a victim survivor of domestic abuse. So the disclaimer is, as usual, I am not a psychologist or a counsellor. The aim of this channel is to share all that I've learned on my journey through my abusive marriage and coming out the other side, on my way to healing, in the hopes that I might be able to help some people who might be dealing with the same thing. Today we're going to be discussing the stages of grief that we go through when we leave an abusive relationship. The stages of grief apply to the end of an abusive relationship as they would with any other, with some complications thrown in for good measure. You think you finally made up your mind, left, and broken free of the abusive relationship. Then the unthinkable happens. You miss them. You feel sad. You start thinking it wasn't that bad. It could always get better. When you leave abuse behind, you're likely to experience a unique type of grief and heartache. And I hate to be the one to tell you, but you will likely feel worse before you feel better. But you will feel better. Typically, psychologists have identified stages of grief to include denial or numbness from shock, anger, anxiety and frustration, depression, detachment and sadness, bargaining and dialogue creation, and then acceptance and moving on. Despite what we might naturally be inclined to think, the stages of grief do not necessarily occur in order, and they're not linear. They don't only occur once, and in fact, we can experience all the stages at the same time. So not only do you have the typical stages of grief to navigate, but also a complex grief and the contradictory feelings around the relationship and its ending as well. You're also likely to be trying to recover the self that you had to bury in order to survive the abuse. Abusive relationships condition us to swallow our anger, hide our feelings, and they are anxiety inducing and crazy making. We end up losing what makes us us, because we had to make ourselves small and insignificant and focus so much on keeping our partner happy so as to keep the peace. So how do we even know how to be ourselves anymore? An abusive partner often dismisses and negates your feelings, ideas and needs, and if you ever do stand up for yourself, your assertiveness is often met with escalated abuse. Your grief may also be complicated by the trauma, the blows to your self-esteem from repeated criticisms, the blame that you've internalized for any and all of the problems in your relationship, and the social isolation that often develops as the result of the abuser's controlling and possessive behavior. This, along with the practical and financial challenges that you experience due to the breakup, can further challenge your emotional resources, not allowing you to grieve the loss and move forward or to accept that you've made the right decision to get out. And the minute that we think we've got our head and heart under control, we catch another wave. A wave of, we loved them, we still love them. In a case like leaving an abusive relationship, it would also be much easier if we could just turn it off. But love isn't one of those feelings that we can simply disengage or shut off like a light switch. It takes time and a willingness to let go. There will quite possibly be a time of grieving the good times. Abusive relationships are not generally all bad, although some undoubtedly are. There are often good bits, and these bits can be really hard to let go of. It's very normal to have positive and loving feelings for someone in these circumstances, and it's also very normal to feel loss and sadness when we lose someone that we love, even if there are bits of them that we hate or fear. This can also be the hardest part for those who love you to understand. They may not want to hear what you miss about someone that has hurt you so badly. They may have their own feelings, often anger and protectiveness, about what you've been through. They may have been waiting so long for this day to come, the day that you'd be free, and they can't understand why you're not as relieved as they are. This can leave you feeling isolated, and where getting professional help can be particularly valuable. When the abusive relationship comes to an end, it's not just the abusive and painful moments that come to an end, it's also the loss of the loving, caring, and romantic moments. When we enter into a romantic relationship, it's with a vision of a future together. The good parts of the relationship reinforce that vision, and it's hard to reconcile those good times when leaving for reasons of abuse. Just know that you will have these good memories come up and your feelings around them are valid. Just also keep in mind the reasons that you left in the first place, because those rose-colored glasses can be really easy to slip back on. With a little understanding around trauma bonding, you can begin to understand the reasons it was so hard to break free, why it's often easier to go back than to move on. People all too often beat themselves up for doing what we all do. Staying or going back is actually a very normal response to a very difficult and confusing set of relationship dynamics. It's why anyone who's never been in an abusive relationship asks those dreaded questions. Why did you stay? Why didn't you just leave? Why did you go back? They just don't get it. Most of the time, we don't even know why. But it's time we did understand it so we can get off the merry-go-round and take back control of our lives. If you'd like more information about trauma bonding, I'll link my video on the subject at the end of the video. Self-knowledge, allowing yourself to grieve the good, dealing with the trauma, rebuilding your life and self-esteem, and allowing yourself to take center stage in your own life will all help the process of recovery, as will understanding the dynamics and tactics of the abuse. It can be easy to lose yourself in an abusive relationship. When it's over, you may question who you are without that person. Being free from abuse for the first time can feel disorientating. Abusive relationships fundamentally change how we think, act, speak, and feel. But take the time to find yourself again. And I can all but guarantee that with a little bit of nurturing and some time to regain your sense of self, you'll be twice as strong as you were before you even met that person. This is your time to rebuild. This is your time to thrive. You are deserving. You are strong. Start by being kind to yourself and work from there. There will likely be times that you get angry and want to let your abuser know how much they've hurt you. When you begin to learn more about abuse, you'll want to point out what they did and get the apology that you deserve. It's like when you think of the perfect comeback to a snide remark hours after the fact. However, much like calling and using your savvy retort out of context is not advisable, neither is reaching out to an abuser. You are opening a door and will very likely not get the remorseful apology that you hope for. At least not a genuine one. But don't let those thoughts of anger continue to swirl around your head, eating at you either. These things left unsaid can become just as damaging as the abuse you've left. So get them out. Write an angry letter. Hell, write as many as you need to. Fill a book with all you want to say. Make a playlist of music that expresses your feelings that you can turn up loud and belt out. Then look for something inspiring and uplifting to take the place of those feelings once you've emptied them out. Because little by little, you won't need that playlist so much anymore, and the anger will fade. You won't care if that person knows the pain they've caused you or if they're sorry for it, because you'll have left it behind. Just remember that it took you a long time to get here and to get out, and it's going to take a while before you heal. But please remember that it is possible and that you will get through this temporary transition to freedom. It may not seem that way sometimes, but remember that you are strong enough to leave and you are strong enough to survive this too. Join a support group and lean on others that have been through and understand what you're going through. Most importantly, be kind to yourself. The key things to remember in regard to grief after an abusive relationship is that you aren't grieving over that actual person as they exist now. You're grieving over the person you thought they were and the relationship you hope to have, the potential future that you're working to create, the time and energy you lost during the relationship, the loss of your own independent identity, the feeling of love itself, which was actually just trauma bonding, the benefits of the relationship itself, such as companionship, and the fact that you feel like you failed in some way. It's important to validate your feelings of loss, fear, and uncertainty, and to have self-compassion for the losses you've suffered, to find empathy and support from loved ones or from a professional person who can guide you through the process of grief, dealing with the trauma as well as rebuilding your self-esteem. Healing will come, but give yourself time to recover before entering into a new relationship. Taking time to heal and strengthen your self-confidence and self-esteem is important before giving your emotions time and energy to another person. Spend quiet time with yourself to reflect on the past so that you can wisely plan for your future. Seek counselling services to help aid you in this process. Rediscover the unique person you were before the abuse robbed you of that reality. You deserve a positive and healthy relationship. Give yourself the best opportunity at one by taking the time to overcome the abuse you've left before entering and beginning something new. Work at strengthening your sense of self and your boundaries, and you are sure to find a healthy, fulfilling relationship. If you're interested in my boundaries course, I'll leave a link in the description box below. And if anything I've discussed today has given you cause for concern about your own situation, reach out for help. As always, if there's any way I can be of assistance in finding local resources for you, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email is in the description box below. Or come over and join our private support group, Surviving the Love Bomb, on Facebook. If you're finding this content valuable, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And it also means that you won't miss any future videos because I upload every Tuesday. I've also started a true crime podcast and YouTube channel if it's something you're interested in. It's called Trapped by Love. So if you're interested in true crime, come over and check it out. I upload on a Friday to anywhere you listen to podcasts, and also to YouTube. There'll be a link in the description box to that also below. So until next time, please take care of yourselves and be kind to one another.